Most notably, what happened was a bunch of guys came back, at least for a little bit, but I thought most importantly, Teven Jenkins. Teven Jenkins was back. Still no idea where he went on Monday or Sunday or whatever the hell day it is. Who knows anymore when he left after warm-ups.
That's a loaf on the media. Nobody asked about that. I'm sure he wouldn't have answered it, but nobody asked. Keep going.
Yeah, one of those things that, I guess as long as he's out there, doesn't necessarily matter. But he was back. That, to me, was the best because they just got to get healthier on the offensive line. And we're going to talk about Nate Davis here a little bit later on the show because there was a very notable moment, Matt Eberflus press conference today. So best, Teven Jenkins back at practice. Worst, Gary Ross back at practice. No, I'm just kidding. Gary Ross was I somehow missed Gary today. That was not on purpose. So apologies to not only Gary, but apparently the entire Ross family and Mr. Ross. So I'm sorry I missed you guys, but good to have you back out there. I guess my worst is just I don't want to be weather guy, but it didn't feel like train camp out there. It's cold. It's rainy. They didn't do much today. I will agree. I'll go a little bit with you on that. No pads. Just, not my favorite day at camp so far.
I mean, that's the other thing, too, by the way. It was a perfect day with the weather to do stuff because, good climate control out there, but just waltzing through a little cloudy practice. Nick, what do you got? I forgot about Adam Rank. Good call there, Bears and Hawks. Yeah. Adam, we had a great conversation with Adam. It was awesome to see Adam out there today. Thank you for mentioning that. My bad. Nick, what do you got?
Shout out real quickly to Carmen DeFalco. I left my Core Power protein shake right at the security line, and I was leaving, and then he's like, "Hey, you forgot your protein shake." I'm like, "Oh shoot, needed that." So shout out to Carmen DeFalco there real quick. Started with my best. I'm going with Velus Jones Jr. at his new position today at the running back spot for at least this block is what Matt Eberflus kind of described it as. But just kind of look, they're trying to be creative in how they can utilize Velus Jones Jr. So in the individual period, 7-on-7, team period, he was at that running back spot. Don't know how that's going to work out for Velus Jones Jr., but I like that the Bears are experimenting with a guy like that. The worst for me in terms of the practice, that first team period, in that drive that the offense has, there's 3 pre-snap penalties. The first 2 plays are back-to-back false starts. Like, how are you going to start your, the team period that way? And then later on, it looked like there's the delay of game. Don't know if that was a cadence issue. Guys just trying to jump early off the set. I don't know. But you just don't want to start your first period in the 11-on-11s with those penalties in that drive. But that's how it started for the Bears in this Tuesday practice.
Yeah, I would have gone worst on the foul starts too, but since you took it, I have to come up with something else, which I'll get to in a second. But my best, shout out to my guy, 17, Tyson Bagent. I don't know if you guys are aware.
Was in the rundown.
I know that, Hogue. I'm aware. Thank you. I wrote. I joined the rundown. I am going to. Let's go back to practice right now to our cubicles, and we're gonna have it out. No, my best from today, Bagent to Freddie Swain, back right corner, touchdown late in the practice. Just an absolute beauty. Shout out to 17. Beautiful throw. Got one of the biggest ovations of the day on a pretty sleepy day out there. So 17. I am, in the 17 corner here, overly, if you will. But honestly, there just wasn't a whole lot of bests out there today. Velus is a good one, too. I suppose. I mean, I've liked him catching the football right now. I'm like, now you're going to put him at running back? I thought he's looked better as a receiver. But okay, fine. Guys can experiment with that the rest of the way. Maybe they're liking the other receivers more and seeing that he's not going to get any reps there. But I see a lot of running backs in that room, so I don't exactly understand where he fits in that equation either. When you've got Khalil Herbert, you got Roschon Johnson, you got DeAndre, it just doesn't really add up to me. My worst is the practice. And look, I am talking to a lot of people out there, and maybe the media is just being the annoying media. Good call by Gary Ross, by the way. Torrey Taylor did have some massive punts today. That might as well have qualified for a best too. But look, the Bears started 0-4 last year. We've talked about it ad nauseum on the show, but I think it's just worth bringing it up again for 2 seconds here. The training camp looks very similar to last year, and I would like to be confident that the coaching staff, the new coaching staff, Eric Washington, Shane Waldron, obviously Matt Eberflus is in year 3 here. That the plan is a good one and it's going to work out. But right now, I just feel skeptical that they're going about this the right way. And I'm waiting for the practice where it looks like a real intense NFL practice. And we haven't really seen it as far as I can tell. And certainly not today.
Yeah, I think there's a bunch of factors that went to today. I mean, one is they've been coming off of off days and they've not worn pads after a single off day. They would sort of ramp it back up for a day. I think tomorrow you'll probably see one of those longer padded practices. Perhaps, I don't know this being the case, I'm just sort of guessing, but the field was probably wet today because it did rain all overnight and was sort of misting during practice too. So if you're not going to have pads on, maybe you take it a little bit more careful. I don't know, but if you're a fan who came out today, it wasn't the best practice that you got to see. However, there were a couple other goods. I will tell you. Caleb Williams had a really nice sort of floating pass to DJ Moore in the end zone. They're working on low red, and he sort of got flushed backwards, and maybe not the best idea to throw off your back foot, but he had DJ Moore come across like kind of on a back end of what might have been a sail. I couldn't tell how the route started. But he sort of just put it up there in the right spot. DJ ran right under it before he went out of bounds and caught it for a touchdown. Enjoyed the old Matt Nagy shovel to Cole Kmet too in there. So, there were some plays in the, I gotta say, one of the things for all the sort of negatives we've had to bring up here along the way sometimes with this offense, what do we keep saying? We say offensive line availability, pre-snap penalties, this. We almost never talk about Shane Waldron. I think that's a good thing because I think that, yes, it's just practice and we haven't necessarily seen this all play out in a game because I don't think the game in Canton last week counts, but I like what I see from the offense, like what the offense is, the designs of the plays, how, he kind of stacks concepts together, and even the creativity to go with Velus at running back at this point in camp. Not a permanent move necessarily, but let's see what we got this week. Let's take a look at it. I like that.
And I also like too, real quickly, like there's so much change on this offensive line in some of those situational periods where the offense has had success. Like the offense is moving down the field. And again, like, could there have been sacks and plays that would have been stopped by a regular defense? Probably, but there's a lot of fluctuation going on this offensive line. There's sometimes receivers in and out of those 11-on-11 sessions. And yet the offense during those 2-minute drills has, for, I think, not for the most part, but they have been able to move down the field today. They were able to move down the field and get a Cairo Santos field goal. And again, there's a lot of moving parts on that. So that has been encouraging despite all the different changes that have been happening.
Apparently, and you guys can confirm this for me, Matt Pryor, Larry Bourne, we're switching both sides at tackle, trying to figure out where they're more comfortable. Swing tackle, experimental type of situation.
I think that's somewhat of a competition. I mean, Matt Pryor's been in this league for a long time. I'm not sure they're totally in love with Larry Borum, being comfortable, maybe let's say at left tackle versus right tackle. So I think that that's something that's going to continue to evolve, as seeing both of those guys get reps probably in the games too, because I think that's probably the primary competition among the backup linemen.
Fair enough. The podium today, we had Flus and Keenan and Rome and Jonathan Owens talking Simone Biles, who I hear is a huge fan of the CHGO Bears podcast. Simone, if you're watching right now, we would love to have you on the show, and we appreciate your support greatly. That I'm making up, but I'm going to act like I'm being serious because we would love to be supported by the greatest gymnast in the history of gymnastics. I was watching Keenan in pregame, and he's dancing around out there. Yeah. He's giving somebody from the NFL Network, whose name I don't know, a big hug. He's having, like, they're asking him, like, would you want to sign a long-term deal here? And he's like, yes. Are you happy with playing out your contract? Yeah, I'll bet on myself. Like, this dude just, I am becoming a Keenan guy. Like, I might have to go so far as to get a 13 jersey, even if he's only going to be here for 1 year. This dude's, his personality is strong and his performance is strong. I've fallen for Keenan Allen. Let me make it official.
Does Tyson Bagent know that?
Well, Tyson's 1. Keenan will be 2.
We all silly like the mayor.